Mr. Rushing, tell me what you were doing the day you were arrested and what the early part of your day was. Lead me in.
Well, I have a friend who's got stage 4 cancer of the spine. So every Friday I take him to his chemotherapy, and then I usually, that's on Gore, not too far from the gym, which I've been working out at for 30 years, over 30 years. So while he takes about an hour and a half, I go to the gym, work out, then he calls me to come pick him up. Well, that's every Friday at 1 that happens. Well, this particular day the doctor was leaving early, so he said, come in at 12. Well, I have a friend that works really close to the gym and then has to walk home 2 miles when they get off at 12. So after I dropped him off, I picked them up, was headed to their house when the police stopped us.
What happened when the police stopped you?
I said, hi, did I do something wrong? And they went, well, you know, when you were coming out of the 7-Eleven there, you didn't really come to a full stop. And I went, to myself, I went, Friday afternoon, lunchtime, Highway 50, just going to pull out without, no. So I said, okay. And they said, well, I said, you're going to give me a ticket? And they said, well, would you mind if we search your car? And I said, well, if you don't give me a ticket, sure, you can search the car. Because, you know, I didn't have anything to hide. So I figured I'd get out of a ticket. You know, they take 5 minutes, search the car, and I'd be done. So about 15 minutes later, they're still doing it. And I looked at my friend, I said, do you know what's going on? No. So they came back and they went, you got anything in your car you want to tell us about? I said, no, there's nothing in there that's interesting at all. No, what do you mean? And they said, well, we found something in your car that's illegal. I said, not possible. And they said, yeah, we tested it. And I said, well, I don't care what you did because there's nothing in the car that's illegal. I've never done drugs in my life. I've never even smoked pot once. What are you talking about? So they got 4 little pieces, which every other Wednesday I get a glazed donut from Krispy Kreme. They found 4 little pieces of icing on the floorboard, which I'm kind of embarrassed about because I should have, vacuumed the car better. But first they tried to say it was crack cocaine, and then they said, no, it's not crack, it's methamphetamines. I went, it's icing from a donut. And they said, no, it's methamphetamines. And I said, you are so wrong. And they said, well, you know, we're willing to work with you if you're willing to work with us, because we've had a lot of drug sales over there in that little area. And I said, well, I don't know anything about anything. They said, okay, well, then you need to go ahead and put your hands behind your back and we're going to read you your rights. I said, okay. They searched my friend. They were embarrassed. You know, my friend that was having the chemo, he was stuck. He had to wait a few hours there for somebody to finally come pick him up. And I got taken down to 33rd Street, strip searched. Now, because of my back, my spine injury, I have to take some pretty heavy-duty meds. So when I came in, they said, are you taking anything that you could go into withdrawals from if you don't have it? I said, absolutely. I told them about my situation and what I took, and they said, okay. This was about maybe 1:30, and I had my meds at 9. I was supposed to have them again at 3. So about 5, you know, I'm still sitting over there in the corner. I went over and I told the medical guy, I said, sir, like I told you, I'm going through withdrawals now. I'm having some real severe pain in my back. And he said, well, you need to go over there and sit down because you're not supposed to be over here. And if you don't leave us alone, we're going to put you in the back where you don't want to be. So, okay. So I sat until about 10, and then they took us upstairs. Now I have an implant in my back, and I'm not supposed to go through a metal detector. So we got up there. I said, sir, I have a patient card in my wallet. I'm not supposed to go through a metal detector because I have an implant in my back and it can mess it up. And he went, well, you're going to have to go through. So I did. Then I waited about an hour and a half, and they finally called me and they said, you've been on bond.